There's no more way the defense should evolve. The Niners have been really led by their pass rush for years. They invest so much in it. But last year, they ranked 20th in sack percentage, 20th out of 32 teams. It was below 7%. And yes, they got rid of Chase Young and they brought in Leonard Floyd. But I think more than just swapping out a couple D linemen, I think they're going to look to evolve their pass rush from being a 4 defensive linemen, straightforward, go get the quarterback rush, to we have 7 potential threats to rush the quarterback on any given play. And yeah, it's probably only going to be 4, but you don't necessarily know which 4 are going to come. And that's why they drafted, and that's why they signed a player like Leonard Floyd, who has tons of experience dropping into coverage. I mean, the Ravens drop their nose tackle into coverage sometimes just to be, sorry, coach, just to be tricky. So I think we're going to see a more exotic. The Niners used to be so of how vanilla their pass rush is. I don't think they're going to do that this year. I think that should also help the defense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There was definitely something off with last year's defense. But one thing we noticed about Shanahan, the reason the wide 9 is in place is because Shanahan says, this is what gives my offense trouble. So I want to install what gives my offense problems. Well, I think last year you saw a shift, and what gave his offense problems was press man and simulated pressures. It gave him a ton of problems. You saw it with Cleveland. You saw it with Baltimore. You saw it with the Chiefs. And teams are going to implement that more and more. And so it's interesting because we look at the 49ers and we say, all right, well, your defense has been basically the same. What's going to change with the new defensive coordinator? I don't know that a lot's going to change with the new defensive coordinator, but it will change with Kyle Shanahan if he feels like there's something new in the league that is worth evolving to, because it gives his offense problems. And I think he's looking at it last year going, man, 3 games, 3 losses. This gave my team fits offensively. We had no idea what, even the Vikings did it a little bit and gave them problems. Really, the Vikings were a team that would bring everybody to the line of scrimmage and rush everybody at times and drop people back. And really, they gave the 49ers a lot of problems as well. That was a 4th game that they lost, and there wasn't a lot of talent on that defense. So he's probably looking at it and saying, okay, this gives my offense problems. Now it's time to implement that. And that's when you're really going to see change with the defense. It has nothing to do with Wilkes or Sorensen or anybody. It's when Kyle wants to make the change. And I think he's ready to make that change, knowing that it gives his offense problems.
Real quick, for people watching that don't know what simulated pressure is, the idea is instead of just a blitz where you bring a 5th guy, you rush 4, but it's unclear which 4 are going to rush. You might drop a D lineman. You might rush a nickel back. And the idea is you got Leonard Floyd on one side. Maybe you're trying to get the defense to slide to him. Then you drop him into coverage and bring a DB off the other side who's completely unblocked. You're trying to create situations like that, which the Chiefs did so successfully against the 49ers in the Super Bowl.
The Ravens, I think the Ravens showed it, though. The Ravens showed it could be done. And they showed, not only did they show it could be done, but there's a difference from having success versus a team, and then the team also showing that they haven't worked on it at all. Right. And that's what I mean, where the coaching kind of got challenged in different ways, where we give this team so much credit for the veteran leadership and for the things that they know how to do and what they're used to being able to come up against in different endeavors during the season. But those are the moments that stick out to me, where it's like, all right, you got caught with your pants down with a version of football that you have not seen, nor are you not prepared for. Let's see you really work on that now. That's being a professional, being able to call on your skills at will, to be able to button something up and handle it, right? When's the last time we've been through a season where it's like, man, Niners are having a hard time with being able to show up that run defense. What are they going to do to fix it? Outside of going to go get more guys, nothing, right? There's nobody gets coached up more. Like I recall versions of our team where, remember when we had a really big issue with getting turnovers? Then all of a sudden you started reporting tons of turnover drills, guys punching balls out, ripping balls out. And then we would literally see that teaching point being put out in real life on the field. Like, I feel like we haven't seen that in a while.
Real quick, with simulated pressure, the reason it's so in vogue right now and why people want it is like when it works, like in the Super Bowl with the Chiefs, you're rushing 4, maybe 5, but what you're trying to generate is a free rusher. A free rusher is an unblocked rusher, completely unblocked. How many times did Steve Wilkes and the 49ers defensive brain trust last year generate a free rusher?
Not many.
Think about it. You watched every game. How many times did it happen? I can't think of one.
Unless it was a deliberate bust, not many times at all.
Not many times. So, yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily going to be something the Niners do all the time, but if they do it well, it can only improve their team. Obviously, playing tighter coverage on the outside will give the pass rushers more time to do their job, but having some change-ups beyond everyone just beat the guy in front of them, I mean, that's the Niners pass rush. Beat the guy in front of you. Okay.
Well, I think that's why Leonard Floyd's here too, because he can rush out of a 2 or 3 point stance. That's something the 49ers haven't done traditionally. Right. They're usually 4 guys down, hands in the ground. Well, Leonard Floyd may be here to stand up and help sell that simulated pressure, because maybe he drops back, maybe they send him. And really, actually, you know where this started? It actually started the year prior with the Philadelphia Eagles. And they would stand up both of their edges, and you never knew where it was coming from. That's where it started. It was just 2 years ago. Arizona then tried to implement that, but they didn't have the players. So the Eagles were actually the first team that I saw doing this on a regular basis.
You know who actually was doing it 10 years ago? Or more than 10 years ago? Yes.
Fangio.
And you know who's a Fangio disciple?
Yep.
Staley.
Yep.
So one of the nice things about having edge rushers who are in a 2-point stance standing up as opposed to a 3-point stance, it's easier to do stunts in games. And that's a big part of the Vic Fangio pass rush. Fangio 13, 14 years ago was not trying to rush 5, but he was trying to find the most creative ways to rush 4. And I don't think the Niners have been at the forefront of creativity when it comes to their 4-man pass rush, but they could be now.
Because they had the dogs before they had them.
Go ahead. But to Salah's credit and to D'Amico's credit, they would just let those guys do their thing on first and second down. But on third down, both D'Amico and Salah were very, very creative and exotic with the kind of pressures that they could scheme up and the kind of free rushers they could generate. I didn't see that from Steve Wilkes, which was weird because I felt like in his past he had been a big blitzing guy, but his background is DBs. Maybe he just doesn't have that expertise. I don't know. Maybe Staley does. We'll see.